Welcome to the Performance Enhancing Podcast. It's like steroids for your brain. A podcast for people that want the best info, but just don't have the time. Get your podcast fix with the Cliff Notes versions of your favorite podcasts. No fluff, just the actionable golden nuggets. Having this much knowledge at your fingertips should be downright illegal. So get ready for another dose of Performance Enhancing Podcast with SatoriPrime. Here's your host, Ilan Ferdman.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Performance Enhancing Podcast with your host, Ilan Ferdman. So if you haven't signed up to our PEP list to receive a recap email about this week's shows, make sure you head over to performancepodcasts.com. That's podcasts with an S at the end of it, so make sure you remember that. You can even pick up 6 hours of subliminal training when you sign up. That basically means now you can work on things like speed reading, memory, and even how to be more decisive through subliminal messaging just by listening. So make sure you do that. Also, if you haven't yet subscribed to our show via iTunes, you can also do that at performancepodcasts.com/iTunes. Or if you prefer to use Stitcher, you can do the same thing at performancepodcast.com/Stitcher. And remember, we have new episodes coming out every Monday and Thursday morning, so you can grab those then. Lastly, if you want to keep up with everything that we do at SatoriPrime, you can always head over to our main site, SatoriPrime.com, and roam around. We have a ton of free content that we constantly update. And if any of you are looking for some mentorship around your marketing efforts, and I'm talking specifically about Facebook paid marketing on how you can use that to double, triple, or even quadruple your business, then we do actually have a couple of masterminds we run that can absolutely transform your marketing efforts in less than 90 days. So you can check those out by applying to see if you're a fit for one of them at SatoriPrime.com/mastermind. And with that, let's kick off today's show. Hello and welcome back to part 2 of Beer Talk 7.0. And like I said, in this one, we're actually going to delve into our process. How do we complete 2014? How do we start creating 2015? We're actually going to do a follow-up on the process. In other words, like what we learned inside of doing our own process this year. We're going to share some of those with you a little bit later down the road in another podcast. But in the meantime, this is it. This is the process we go through. This is how we create amazing goals. And just a little tidbit, when we went through the process, we were shocked, literally shocked. I would say that 95% of what we wrote down was achieved. And I'm not kidding you, we never even look at those goals. Which is not a great practice, but it was just incredible to read it. And so we'll share that whole insight with you. But for now, enjoy part 2 of Beer Talk 7.0. If you didn't, again, listen to part 1, I recommend that you go back because that's going to give you the context and kind of the conversation that is had before we go into this process. So enjoy part 2. Okay, so we covered biggest successes. We covered biggest, failure/lessons. Let's move on to creating a new year.
Sure.
And that process.
Yep.
So let's create a little bit of a context before we do that and talk about like the technical side. Kind of like I said in the beginning, there's a great distinction we learned at Landmark. It's like you can't put whipped cream on a shit pie and it tastes good. It's still going to taste like shit, right? And
they say mud pie, so you don't have to eat shit.
But we don't have to keep it that PC. So I know what they want to say is shit, but they can't.
Probably true.
Can. So what does that mean? That basically means that if you carry, almost like when you go from one relationship to the next, what happens is you're basically showing up to that relationship with all the baggage from your previous relationships. Or when you get a new job, you had a shitty relationship with the boss or something happened at work. You don't show up to the new job as a clear version of you. You show up with all of this shit. Like what walks into the office is, well, this is my shitty boss experience and this is my shitty coworker experience and this is how I failed miserably on this project. And it's all there, but it's kind of like under the desk. And as soon as something happens that kind of, sort of, maybe looks like that, like your boss will say something, all of a sudden he stops being new boss and he's like, boss 1.2, like version 1.2, because he was the one that happened before. So same thing with the new year. If you're going to carry those boxes into the new year, the reason people suck at achieving their goals in the upcoming year is because as soon as something happens that looks like some sort of failure, that looks like something that happened the previous year, you automatically revert back to that because it wasn't complete. You didn't have this thing where it was like done, and now you complete that and you move on to the next year with a new game and new goals and all that stuff.
Yep.
So the first thing that Guy and I do, we'll sit down and we'll say, like, is there anything that we need to complete? Any goals, anything that we created for 2014 that we didn't achieve? Anything that we said that we were going to do that we didn't do? Anything that we missed the mark on? Anything that we swept under the rug and didn't talk about? We spend a lot of time just completing and dealing with all of that residue.
Yeah, and it's like really any area of life currently, and it could be anything really that you don't have power in specifically, but there's no self-expression and creativity around it either.
Yeah.
So if you don't have power, freedom of full self-expression in this area of life, chances are is that you're holding on to something, or there's something lingering that is yet to be complete.
Yeah, and it could be something really basic, like sometimes, inside of a relationship or in business or whatever, you had a conversation with someone and it didn't complete. And they said something that kind of rubbed you the wrong way, and whatever it is. Like today, for example, I had a conversation with a friend of ours, our best friend, who honestly, like, he's family. It's not like our close group of friends. We actually call ourselves the family, and we function like a family and all that stuff. And he sent an email. It kind of rubbed a few of us the wrong way. And, it was super easy to just kind of like sweep it under the rug and be done with it, because really at the end of the day, it wasn't that big of a deal. But we're family. And I said, like, the same way that I would have a conversation with Guy if that ever happened, and make sure like that he understood why it came off a certain way or what I took from it. And because the way I explained it, it's like when shit happens, what you're doing is it's basically like, like in a wood, you can put like a wedge in between to split them up a little bit. After a while, at first it's very, very tiny, but then you forget that you stuck the wedge. And over time, it's just that gap is going to grow and grow and grow, and it becomes a rift. And it's very difficult to bring things back from here. But when you catch them early on, you could just eliminate it like that. And as soon as you take it out, it's back to normal. And so we had this amazing conversation today. And honestly, like, all three of us walked off the phone. We were like, I love you. Because what's left when you complete shit like that is really that. It's just love.
Yeah.
So
it's possibility. It's just empty. It's empty space to now create in, versus it's being versus there's something already in the space and it sucks.
Yeah.
And then let's pretend it's not there.
Yeah.
It's what we call the elephant in the room effect.
Yeah. And it will literally vacuum your goals.
Anything that could have been possible is now pretty much null and void until that's taken care of.
Yeah. Which is why people don't achieve things in the new year, right? Like we all come in with lofty health goals and wealth goals and relationship goals and all this shit. How many people actually achieve them? How many times have you actually achieved them, right? So that's, it's another reason why like the car for me was so monumental, because I remember I set the goal in May and in September, the thing was sitting on my driveway and it was like, holy shit, it's like manifested. So that's the first thing we do, right? Is there anything else that you want to add to that process?
I would just say that whatever we say here, it's applicable to everything that you do. Like if you and I are about to get on the phone with somebody, and let's say your perception is, holy fuck, this person's amazing. Like you put yourself beneath them. There's some past based belief that's holding you back from having power when you come into that conversation. Now you have that conversation and you're stuttering and you're giggling and you feel awkward and all that stuff. You don't have power there, right? Like that's just what we do to try to survive the moment. Yeah. You can do the same exercise in anything. It's like, even if you're going to get a job and you're going on an interview and you're nervous, or you have to public speak, or you want to go ask a girl out across the room or a guy out, whatever it might be. And there's that I don't believe in myself thing happening, or I'm not good enough thing happening. You can apply the same exercise.
Yeah, 100%. Every time I have a big conversation with like a potential new client, or when we were getting on the phone with Stuart and Jay, every single time we would just sit for like 5-10 minutes and just clear, like,
what's your concern? Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things I remember we said was like super scared that this is going to be the end of this
of the relationship. Yeah.
And it's good because instead of you bringing that into the space, right? Like the luggage, it's just kind of gone. Like you leave it outside the door. Trust me, they're always there for when you want them, but it's very powerful. So that's step one. We complete all the games, etc. And then from there, now you have a blank slate. And the blank slate, the way that we usually do things is we keep very clear what our mission. So our new mission, thanks to Guy Ferdman, is to impact 100 million people.
Hey man, if you want 1 million, I'll do the other 99 million.
No, is to impact 100 million people by 2020, right? So that leaves us basically 5 years to get this done. So that's our main goal, right? That's the underlying everything that we do. The fact that we train people on Facebook, the fact that we're going to do live events this year, all that stuff is inconsequential. It's just a means to that end.
Yeah.
So every goal that we set up now needs to align with that main mission. So if we create something and that detracts from the mission, that doesn't become a goal. As good as that might make us feel. So for example, I'm not saying that we would want to do this, but if, for example, one of our goals was that we're going to not work for 3 months and live in Costa Rica, for example, could you see, and I'm just making it very like crazy here, but could you see how that would be very not conducive to now reaching 100 million people? So we would sit there and be like, you know what? Awesome goal. Love it. Not really getting us there.
Right.
Right. Not moving the train down the track to where we want to go. If anything, that's like moving us backwards. So those are the questions that we ask ourselves. Anything else you want to say?
No, perfect.
Okay. After that, so you set up big ass goals, like big ass by the end of the year. Here's what we want to achieve. Now, here's something that I learned from someone very, very smart guy by the name of Todd Herman. He said that to the brain, anything longer than 90 days out is no longer a goal. It's just a vision. It's an idea. It's a want and like a desire of some manifestation down the road. But the only things that you can ever focus on are 90-day goals. That's how our brain works. It works to create that. So what we then do is we chunk down these big ass at the end of the year, here's where we're going to be goals, into much smaller quarterly goals, monthly goals, and then weekly tasks, daily projects. Weekly projects, daily tasks. Because when you look at a mountain, right? So like say at the end of this year, we create a goal, and we kind of spoke about this, so I'm just going to throw this out. Like we want to reach $10 million in revenue. Okay. Which I think if you asked us how we're going to get there, both of us would be like, no fucking clue. Right. But that's a number big enough and scary enough that it's just worth playing for. Now, in order to do that, now we would need to set up a lot of parameters, because if you say something like that, it's like if a person is 300 pounds and by the end of the year, they're like, I want to be 150 pounds. What happens in the brain is if it's too unrealistic, the brain just doesn't even recognize it as anything. It doesn't allocate any processing power. Yeah, it's just noise. It's just noise. So what you want to find is something that is scary enough where you don't know the how. You can't strategize your way to the end of the year goal. Because if you can see how and the strategy, you're leaving out what I think is the most amazing part of setting up goals, which is the magic. The stuff that no one can fucking explain, the magic. You know, the amazing person that shows up into your life, the incredible partnership, the perfect thing happening at the perfect time where you're just like, oh my God. Because if you can strategize how to get there, you basically walk like this with your blinders on to that thing.
It wouldn't work anyway, yeah.
You're not allowing for the universe to just provide you down this beautiful path that sometimes will look completely different than what you thought. But to me, that's the magic. That's the word I'm actually creating for 2015 is like 2015 is going to be magic. And that's pretty much the process that we go through. Is there anything else you want to add?
I was just going to say, like, the way I think about it is, I think at least the way that I believe brains work for the most part is we have a very linear way of thinking about everything. So everyone looks like an A and B, like a straight line to get there. And any entrepreneur will tell you it's like this. But I don't believe I used to believe, okay, well, it's not linear, it must be chaotic. But I think it's organized chaos, right? It's just the universe is not set up in a linear fashion. But our brains, with our limited, feeble, stupid capacity, even though we're geniuses, all of us, we're limited by our third-dimensional space. So we have a very difficult time in imagining in abstract ways. And everything I was saying before, it's me kind of like pushing my brain to think abstractly.
Yeah.
And not thinking in a linear type of way. Like, who cares A and B? I might be like A, L, M, Z, C, D, G, and then I'm like, oh, G is it, right? Like, and it just happens to be that way. So that's what I'm saying. Like, magic to me, it's like organized chaos. And it's allowing yourself to live in an abstract kind of fashion where you really you create without putting a picture as to how it's going to look when it arrives, and just allow it to be. And I have to tell you that when you do that, and that might sound so freaking weird, like, how the hell do you do that? Again, it's just something, it's experience, but it's like, look at your own experience when like magic does happen. I can nearly assure you it wasn't linear. Yeah. You didn't do something and then like something happened. It's just like, oh shit, this is here, but I was doing this and how did that happen? Like it blows your mind. It surprises you. So pay attention to those phenomenons and don't think, oh, that was a weird coincidence. Look, and you'll see a pattern. That's been going on in your life for a long time. If there's a pattern, it's not coincidental, but it's not linear either.
Yeah.
So allow yourself to start believing that things are coming to you. Like if you say it, I'm telling you right now, it's coming. The only difference is if you say it and have an image of what it's going to look like, it's just not going to look the way you think nearly at all, almost ever. But it's coming and it's coming fast. And I'm sorry. And I'm obsessed right now with Louis Pasteur for no reason except for he said, chance favors the prepared mind. And I think that like literally sums up all of life. Education is nothing more than to prepare yourself to have particular experiences. You draw on those experiences so that what appears like chance becomes opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what happens when you start mastering and learn about learning is chance, luck. What people who don't understand this call luck starts seeming like to everybody outside, like you're really lucky. That's how we look at sports stars. Oh, he's so lucky. He was genetically predispositioned for this. He's a natural talent. And these are the things we say to talk about these things. Oh, he's a natural talent. Yeah, right. Go talk to one person who's a natural talent and ask them about their work ethic. And you'll find out that they do something that nobody else does. They experience something that nobody else has experienced. Anyway, sorry, going on a rant.
Yeah. So I just want to couple of things I want to point out to you. One, when you're creating these goals, sometimes people will say something like, I want to get out of this job, or I don't want that. I want this, right? Here's what you got to realize. The universe, at least from my experience, does not understand the word I don't, like don't, no. All those words are eliminated. So whatever comes after the word, I'm going to make it very, very extreme. Like if you said something like, I don't want to gain the weight back, you will, the way it travels to the universe is I want to gain the weight back. It leaves out the don't. So you want to make sure.
It doesn't say I don't. It just weight. Yeah. Like if you're like 15 pounds, I want to scared to lose 15 pounds. It's just like 15 pounds. Okay, 15 pounds.
Exactly. That's the way the brain works, and that's what it focuses on. So you want to make sure that your goals and the things that you're creating are actually from a positive standpoint, not negating something. Always creating, not negating.
And I'm sorry, and that's really important to verbalize it in a positive way. So instead of I want to lose 15 pounds, talk about you increasing your health. Exactly. Losing 15 pounds will be a result of you actively pursuing increasing your health. Exactly. Healthy people lose weight easily. sick people, it's mission impossible.
Exactly.
So it's all about creating a context that for you is like, ooh, that lights me up. Losing 15 pounds doesn't light anybody up. It's a fucking uphill battle. It's terrible. And then you lose it and it's right back anyway. So great context that work for you.
And then the other part, which you kind of alluded to right now, is physical goals are fantastic. I'm all for them, like the numbers, the this, the that. But at the end of the day, the thing that makes the biggest difference is who you be. So at the end of the year, there's you become like you. I'm going to be the being of X, right? So Guy is a global, like right now, his being is global leader. That's what he developed in 2014. The money goals, the this goals, the business goals, it's nothing. But he got to a place in his life where he is now being global leader. So what we're looking for, someone said to us on the mastermind the other day, it's like, I want money. And I was like, got that. What would money provide for you? Why do you want money? Right? So it's like, again, back to the car. When I created the whole thing, what I wanted, so you have to understand, like, house being foreclosed on, didn't know if we were going to get kicked out. We were working 12 to 14 hour days, pulling out nothing from our business, like literally like living like we're on welfare.
Like a month away from being broke.
Literally, it was just, it got to a point that my wife was like, if you don't pull this amount of money out of your bank account every single month, we cannot survive. Period. We cannot put food on the table. All this kind of stuff, right? So this is the world that I'm living in. So for me, what I kept wanting was a being of peace. I wanted to be peaceful. I wanted to stop going to bed at night and having to block thoughts of what the fuck am I doing to my family? How the fuck am I going to survive this? And it was all around money, right? Like all these concerns. I would wake up with them. I would go to bed with them. And then the entire day was just this process of trying to be like, I don't need this right now. Like, come back later. I need to focus on creation. I need to focus on helping people. Like that became my agenda during the day. But all I wanted was peace. I just wanted to feel like I could breathe and everything was good. So the car is my peace. I know that sounds really weird, but like my Satori, it's my moment of enlightenment. And it just sitting there because it really is that. It was the moment in our business that I can honestly say money is not a concern anymore at all. Not in reality, not in my head, nothing. It's just like, I know the universe will now provide us every resource we need possible to achieve our 100 million people. Okay. So for you with the being, right? So like Guy said, a perfect example, you want to lose weight. What would you be like? What would the being feel like when you lost that? Would it be health? Would it be vitality? Would it be joy? Would it be whatever it is, right? Like focus on that because that is what your brain and body will fight for, not for the physical.
I also want to I went through one little thing in here. Sorry. Yeah. I went through one little thing here. I want you guys to just consider for a moment that spiritual practices and scientific practices are saying the same thing.
Yeah.
My personal view is that all the arts right now are merging into everything. So like to take something spiritual and show you scientific, there were doctors in China who were trying to heal a patient who had a tumor in her breast, like she had breast cancer. And there's a video online, you could search it, search like doctors cure cancer, like breast cancer or something like that with meditation. I'm not really sure what it's called, but there's 8 doctors in China basically meditated on healing this woman. And the way that they did it was, and they show you the breast and the mammogram with the tumor. And this is shown in real time. And 8 doctors sit around her and they imagine what they would feel like if she was in the room and she was healthy, what they would feel like, what their emotional state would be like, knowing that she was well. So they sit there and they meditate, and you literally watch under the mammogram, you see the cancer, and it just goes like this. Just shrinks, and then disappears in real time, right? So we're taking a spiritual practice of meditation and focus, right? And being, right? These are all spiritual terminology that people think are really hokey. And then we're applying it to science, which is we're vibrating at a certain frequency, and there's a frequency of health. Frequency of health is an emotional state. Like your emotions, your feelings are different frequencies and vibrations in your body, right?
Yeah.
So if you can vibrate at that frequency, what are you doing? You're re-energizing cells. You're creating vitality. And that's what they did to this woman. So here's a scientific study, scientific proof that your being and your belief and your emotional state is at the impact of the results in your life. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. As you said that, I just really hurt my shoulder the other day. I think it was Friday. And as you're saying that, I was like, you know what? I've been focusing on, when like you don't feel something until that thing hurts.
Yeah.
Like you don't know that you have a head there until you have a headache and you're like, oh God, it hurts. So it's been really debilitating. So it's like little movements and I'll do something and I'm like, God damn it. It's so frustrating. But now, as you said that, I was like, you know what? Instead of focusing on healing, if my focus is actually on the feeling of when I'm healthy,
right?
Of the not feeling the arm, right? Like,
and it's very specific, right? Because when you feel well, you're like, yeah, I feel great, and like that, ooh, stuff. But this is another weird thing, right? So I love weird shit. They have done studies that they found out that cats purr, that frequency makes their body heals faster.
Wow.
It increases bone density, and it literally makes them heal faster. Now, here's the interesting part. I lived with 2 cats for 7 years. Anytime I brought my cat to a vet, when it like gets a scrape or it's got like its fur cut off or goes through a traumatic experience, what does it do? It seeks me out like crazy. They're like on me. Why? Because I make them purr. Right? And they intuitively know if they purr, they're going to heal themselves faster.
Wow.
Now I want you to, now here's another consideration. Egyptians, they found that basically the way that they built the pyramids, at least one of the theory goes, it was all sound resonance. So they lifted these blocks through sound. They have like devices that you place underneath, they create a certain resonance, and then literally like you could push it with like one finger. And there's a guy in Florida who basically built these pyramids using an okay, it doesn't matter. It's all done through vibrational frequency. They've also found that the pyramids, what they used to do is they used to put them in these machines, and they would shoot vibrational frequency through the body. It would make the body translucent, and their doctors would look through the body and actually see where disease was, put them into a specific machine that had a specific resonance, and that resonance would cure the body. And I'm pretty sure that that's why people in the Bible lived like 500-600 years, because they were healing them through vibrational frequency. Now, consider this. What was the holiest animal to the Egyptians?
Cats.
Vibrational resonance.
Interesting.
Right? So and now it's like, we're not discovering shit. This is just like the Matrix. It's happened many times before. At least, I'm sorry for all the religious people, but it would appear that it has happened many times. So we're rediscovering things, right? And this is, I think, going to be a huge insight into the 21st century, vibrational frequency, and also time relativity. So anyway, without getting into all that shit, I just thought that was really interesting stuff.
So that's really important. It's like you want to create the being of what it would feel like when you achieve that goal. That's going to be the thing that keeps you going. That's going to be the thing that gets you out of bed. That's going to be the thing that, like, when shit hits the fan, and trust me, shit will hit the fan. I think this was like one of the first podcasts I did about resistance and how people like always resist everything. But resistance is a clue that you're on the right path. If you are comfortable and your goals are small and it's just like, hey, I'd like to survive another year, guess what? You are not going to be met with that much resistance. You're not like fighting the ripples of the ether, right? But when Guy and I say something like, we're going to transform 100 people in the next 5 years, do you think we're going to be met with a few fucking moments of resistance? I mean, I can't even imagine the path that we're about to take. But you know what? The only thing that I know is what we're going to create is a being, like who we're going to have to be in order to make that a reality. That's the gift. The world will be a better place for it. Trust me. But that's the gift. Like, that's why we put ourselves into this pressure cooker of make incredible shit happen.
It's a great analogy. I don't want to call it a pressure cooker. I don't feel pressure to perform on that. I feel called to perform on that. So to say pressure cooker, it's like as if there's forces on me that are thwarting me from it.
I meant like,
I got it. Like the urgency of
like Lord of the Rings, you know, when he has to take that ring to like up that mountain, like he knows, guess what? This shit's got to be done. And I'm the one, like I'm making this shit happen.
Yeah.
And I will face anything that you throw at me. And I will, this little freaking hobbit, 3 feet tall, going up against monsters, you know, like 60 feet tall. He just makes it happen. So I'm sure on our path, we're going to be met with things. But you know what we've developed, and I think this is like a credit to years of personal development, is witnessing things as just events, not as like tragedies or things that can derail us. It's like it comes and it's like, okay, this is just what we have to deal with now. And it's fine. And we will deal with this now.
Yep.
And when we first started, it wasn't like that. It was like everything that happened was like the end of
I will say also that the thing that's out there that we're not dealing with. It's something that we haven't internally dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like there is no spoon. You are like only realize that you are the spoon, then the spoon bends because you realize it's not the spoon that's bending, it's you that's bending.
Yeah.
Right? That's all Matrix shit. But like it really is that way. There is no out there. Everything is just a reflection for you of things that you've either dealt with or haven't dealt with.
Yeah.
So when it's challenging, you're not complete about that. And that's why this event is here, is another opportunity to get more complete with it. When it's complete, it never happens anymore. So whatever challenges we face is stuff that we haven't finished yet.
Yeah.
We just haven't gotten to a place where we see we can develop that. Like we can't develop that until that's complete. That's all it comes down to.
It's interesting. And this analogy just popped up into my head. But like one of the reasons that we love and resonate with entrepreneurs so much is because for us, personal development is everything. Like what happens in between the years. I know we use the 90% is dependent on that. If you ask us both personally, I think it's like 99% is that. 1% is whatever.
9999999.
The other shit is just technical nonsense that you can figure out. But I think it's interesting that when you're going through your daily stuff, like, you know, you're a worker, you're this, you're that, whatever. I remember we used to speak to people about like, you know, do you have a spiritual practice? Do you have a personal development practice? Do you do this? Do you do that? And it just wasn't important for people. And we're having conversations to try to explain to them like why this should be important, which we gave up early on. But like, I remember having those conversations and we got into this whole world of entrepreneurs. And you know what? Entrepreneurs seek out personal development on their own. No one has to tell them like, this is important, because they realize early on that if I want to be successful, I got to handle my shit.
Yep.
I got to figure out what's working and not working in between my ears to make this happen. Because no other outside factor is going to make that happen. And I think that's why we love it and resonate with it, because you put yourself in the context, and then that's just a function of what needs to happen. So for us, I think the 100 million people is a context now, a big ass context. But inside of that context, we know that we will get our lives. And when we get our lives, 100 million people will get theirs.
Yep.
And I love
I'm supposing it's going to be way more. 100 million is where I got to this year. I hope that by next year, this time when we're having this conversation, I have the confidence to put another 0 on that motherfucker.
I love it.
I'm like, you know what? Because ultimately, I would like that number to be 7 billion people. And I think that's, again, like that might sound really egotistical to some of you guys. It's really not coming from that place. It's just coming from a place of, I see that there's a choice that as a species in humanity that we can make that most people don't even know is available to them. Whether or not people want to make that choice, that's up to them, because that's what a choice is. Choose freely, right? And I don't think that it would bother me too much not having people choose that. For me, what I see my mission is I just need you to know that you have one. And to have a moment where you can actually have an opportunity to make it. Because most people go, this choice that I'm talking about, most people go to their deathbed without even knowing that they've ever had that choice to make.
Yeah.
And for me, that's unacceptable. That's what's unacceptable to me. It's not about changing the world and destroying things and doing all these crazy things. I just want you to know that you have a choice, and to give you a moment to make it or not. and then go about whatever the hell you think you're supposed to be doing. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. No one can tell you how to live your life.
Yeah.
I hope you live it passionately, and I hope that you find something that gives you purpose and that it impacts people, because I think that's joyous in nature, and that's being healthy. That's just a healthy way. You look at the body, and if you want to look at microcosm, macrocosm of the world, our Earth is just another organism, and we're cells populating that organism. When cells in the body aren't living their purpose, there's cancer. And the way that humanity looks to me right now is a species with no purpose that's being cancerous. We literally live our species like we're a virus. We take and we don't give. We destroy the host. So if another reason we're passionate about entrepreneurs is they live passionately. They do what they love, and it impacts people. And I truly believe you do what you're passionate about, we will heal this place. We will come back into alignment. So if you don't know that you have a choice, and it's not about entrepreneurship, just a choice you have. You ever want to know what that choice is? You come talk to me directly. But you have a motherfucking choice, and you should at least be given the gift one time in your life to sit there, consider it, and see if it's right for you. And for me, that's my whole life is about just people knowing about that choice. That's it.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. That's the process. And then we just break down those goals into micro manageable projects and break those projects down into daily tasks, end date, finite, right? Like you want to have finite goals. So this needs to be done by this. Ever notice that you work way better under pressure? Like you can do, it's amazing. Like right before you go on vacation, you do amazing amounts of work. Right before, like in 2 days, you do 2 weeks worth of work and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I got that done. No shit, right? So make sure it's finite, and then make sure that each day you have the daily task that you need to complete by that day. And you'll be good. You'll be good to go. And here's the beauty. Some goals you'll crush. You'll get to the end of the year, you'll look back, you're like, wow, we annihilated that goal. And other goals, you know what? You missed the mark. You fell short. You didn't do what you want to look at is not, again, to dismiss the word, not failure. All that happened was you didn't produce the result you wanted. And all that means is something was missing. So you look at an inquiry. Well, what was missing? What we could have put in place? Is it a better organization? Is it a better team? Is it another support person? Is another person that's going to be accountable? Is it a tool? Is it whatever it might be? You can start learning from what you've already done so that this year it works just that much better. And that's really it. I mean, there's no other like magical science weird thing to it. It's just get complete, get a mission, make sure everything aligns with that mission, create goals, create the being, and then break that down into micro levels and fulfill and take action. That's it.
Cheers.
Cheers. I finished my beer, but I have one schluck.
There's soot on the bottom of mine. There's literally like oak soot on the bottom there.
All right. So 2014 is a wrap.
Getting there.
I hope everyone, by the time you guys hear this, it'll already be 2015, but I hope everyone had an amazing New Year's, is healthy, feeling great. If you haven't done this practice, I highly urge you to do it now. Better than waiting, 3-4 months, or, for some people like, I missed the window, I'll just wait till next year. And next year starts whenever you say it starts. It can be January 7th to January 7th.
Yeah.
It can be February 7th to February 7th. Who gives a shit?
Elon's best quote of the year is the second best time to get started is today.
Exactly. That's my new favorite
quote of the year right there.
That's my new favorite line.
Yeah.
So yeah, and honestly, just for me personally, guy can say what he wants. This year has been monumental on so many different levels, and it's really all because of you guys. Your love, your support, you push us to do all of this and much more. There's so many days, like even now during the holidays, where all I wanted to do was like fuck off and just be done with it. I'm like, you know what? I can't. There's people relying on me. Like there's people waiting for this. And I'm not going to sit here and dick around and twiddle my thumbs and wait for the new year while everyone else is kind of like, ugh. You guys deserve better. So I want to thank you, all of you, for sticking with us and listening to our rants sometimes, and more importantly, letting us know that we make a difference for you.
Yeah.
And whether that is by buying a product, leaving a comment, writing us a personal email or message, it's all heard and we get it. And it's the reason that we choose to play way bigger than we ever dreamed of or thought that we deserved to play. And for that, I just love and acknowledge every single one of you.
Absolutely. Awesome. Really well said. I was going to say, if there's anything, I was thinking like, what's the thing we get excited about the most? It's never about the sale. It's always about those email here and there that comes through. And we're like, dude, you have to read this, right?
Yeah.
And we'll just spend like a long time talking about that.
Yeah.
That's probably the thing that I love the most, honestly. It's like those, I love when people that you don't know are impacting you, that you're impacting, you find out about it, right? Because you really don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I was going to say the same thing, like, a thanks to everybody, honestly, because I'm so clear that personal power is a function of the listening that you get. And we may have done stuff or been a certain way to earn that listening, but it's a gift that's given every day. And every time, you know, it's one thing to talk to a camera online or to speak into a microphone and push content out there. There's no reciprocity in terms of that relationship. But when I come in public and I speak to people and I see the impact, is when I know what we're doing is just creating tidal waves out there. And it's a function of you guys just being like, I came here to listen to you talk. Yeah. And to even be a kind of person in this world that gets that privilege, to me is like a gift from the heavens, you know, and I'm not even a religious man, but a gift from the heavens. And it's so funny. Like I always hear like, you know, people who sing, like musicians who are popular, say like, oh, it's all to you. And it is because they get to be who they are because people listen to them. Right. Maybe the context is different, but it's the same thing really. Like it's just that you guys listen, and that's why we get to share what we share, and it gets to make an impact. And we get to feel about ourselves a certain way and have a belief about what we could generate in this world. So know that if one day, and for me, it's more of a when than an if, when one day I do some global shit here, you were a part of that. We're all hopefully going to be a part of that. But it's you, whoever's been a part of it now, who's seen the core, the nucleus of it getting started, you're more responsible for a global shift than you will ever know. And I'm happy to be the voice for those people. So thank you. Best 12 months of my entire life. Hopefully the best 12 months of yours. Hopefully the next 12 months make these 12 months seem like they were nothing, relatively speaking. I know that they will be, actually, because every year of my life has seemed to be the best one. Thank you.
Yeah.
Been awesome.
Leon told me this great line. Leon's my best friend. He's he was basically my older brother. I remember I turned 26 or 27. And he said, Elon, 27 is the best year of your life. And it was. And then the next year is like, you know what? 28 is even better. Like I said, it's just been like this running thing where every year, and then I just created this line. It only gets better.
Only gets better.
It only gets better. So may this year bring you all magic, love, joy, fulfillment, peace in your life. And may we get to be a small part of it in causing that to happen. By the way, bro, what do you think about leaving this on the blog? And then people can comment and we can actually start a chain and people can share with us what they're creating for 2015.
Give me unedited version of this video. Let's just post it on the blog, and then you could post this on the podcast as a 3 or 4 part or whatever you're going to do with it.
Okay. So for those that are just watching this, like right below, comment. Let us know what you're creating for 2015. Let us know what you're completing from 2014, right? Like let us hold that for you. You don't have to hold that. We can be that vessel for you. That's what Guy and I do for each other. We'll do that for you. So let us know what you're completing for 2014. Let us know what you're creating for 2015. And let's seriously make 2015 be the best year ever. Love you, bro.
Love you too, man.
Memories.
Let's kick some ass, Seabass.
Cheers.
Cheers, man. See you soon.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Performance Enhancing Podcast. We've taken this pep talk and created a custom action guide so you know exactly what action steps to take now to grow your business. Just head over to SatoriPrime.com/podcast and download it for free. Also, please leave a comment and rate this podcast on iTunes. It'll help us get the word out. Thanks for listening. Now, go and implement. We'll see you next time.
Did you run through doors till you hit the floor? Did you read my eyes and my aching thoughts? Did you walk through walls till you had to grow? Oh my God, your smile and my soundless calls. Did